Hey everybody, it is November 10th, 2025 here with your after hours recap. So let's just talk about the stocks that had big rebounds over the weekend and kind of lifted, I thought, the market. They did an awesome job, similar to October 22nd when they hit their 50-day, just hitting that 50 and then over the next few days really rebounding strongly. I thought this rebound was even sharper for, a name like Palantir. Very impressive, especially after earnings. This is kind of the action that you love to see, tennis ball action. And so I don't know if this name's just going to continue to V-shape recover right into highs. Not something that I would buy. I thought that Friday would have been a really nice opportunity, even though I didn't play it, to effectively use that 1022 low as the spot. Obviously, with earnings, this one ended up showing a little bit more weakness, but awesome strength today is exactly what you want to see from a Palantir. And I kind of tweeted this out, last week. I said, if that was the market bottom, it's likely that some of these leaders continue with some of their leadership. NVIDIA, another one of those. Really nice sharp move down, effectively retracing back to 1022's low and then rebounding nicely, reclaiming the 50 simple moving average, and then just rebounding very sharply. The memory stocks today, just another incredible day. Something for SNDK. No, I mean, is this getting a little bit stretched? On the short term, I would say yes. And then you looked at WDC, same deal. I mean, just absolutely nutty. MU, again, just nuts. And, if these names take a pause, does money rotate to other places? I guess that's the real big question. Does this affect the market in any kind of way if these names were to go sideways for a few weeks? I really don't know the answer to that question. My thinking was some of the mega caps can easily pick up some of the slack, and then maybe something like these memory stocks could very well take a pause. And money really seems to be rotating to other places. Obviously, this one, it triggered my alert today, and I did not go ahead and take this thing over 41. It was like 41.06 was the kind of the level that I was looking at. And then really 41.60 was where my alert went off in the morning right at the open. And really nice trend out of Sedge. FSLR also acting fantastic. This one kind of looks potentially now I would prefer a little bit of sideways still out of some of these names, and maybe we get it once we get CSIQ. Just go ahead and pause for a moment, but massive accumulation, and now you're living over the 200 simple moving average. The last time that I saw accumulation like this, and this was in CIFR, was right down here. You get over the 200 simple moving average, and all of a sudden you get this big character change and a pickup in volume. Then what happens, right? This thing goes, consolidates, gets really tight after a pullback, and then it holds a key level, the 200. Maybe CSIQ can do eventually something similar in the future where, everybody gets all excited, they all get bulled up, they continue to buy it. Eventually you get kind of a, pretty sharp pullback, and then, you'll find some support. I don't know where that will be. And then there will be some tightening. That is exactly where I'll be watching a name like CSIQ. And is it possible that, the XLV names continue to act well? It looks like it's possible. Obviously, I've been talking about XLV just for a moment, and you get Eli Lilly, which makes a new all-time high, and then you get a name like ISRG, which had a super nice chart going into Friday, and also one that I didn't take when my trigger was going off on it around 550, and then a really nice 25-point push in just the last 2 days. And if I had to guess, right, this ISRG could very well keep going after this consolidation back above the 200, and in the XLV acting a whole heck of a lot better. Oil and gas stocks I thought were fairly impressive today. I know some people took PARR over over $42. Really nice, and then some nice continuation out of that sector. DINO is another one that's been acting better. Starting to look like maybe it's trying to come out of the consolidation. VLO is another one that looks like it's trying to go make a push to a multi-year high, which would be really nice. So oil and gas stocks continue to act well. A little bit of weakness in some of the recent data center plays, right? So something like IREN, not that impressive at all, right? You get earning, and not that it had to be. And part of the reason is you got so extended from the 50 simple moving average. You made already such a big move up that, this thing just pausing. And it did reject a few days ago that 74.15 level. A little bit more digestion, a couple weeks of tightening up. That could be good. On the flip side of that, I am short CIFR. So this weakness was absolutely welcomed. And, if the market were to say take a down day tomorrow, I wouldn't be too surprised. These things are breaking down just a little bit further. But ultimately, some weakness there today. Also some weakness in the quantum stocks. IONQ did absolutely nothing and has really done not a whole lot. I tried getting myself into a bigger position on Friday, but instead I ended up getting kicked out. And then Rigetti, which the one I am short, and not much headache today, where all you really do is you've had this recent bear flag, and then you broke out of it, and then you're kind of going and staying underneath the 50 simple moving average today. And then they posted earnings in after hours, and fairly unimpressive company. And it seems like we are potentially heading lower in some of the quantum stocks. Again, these things don't just want to roll over. They're probably going to make things uncomfortable where you bounce again and you bounce again. I mean, just who knows? There has been such volume traded on this name, really for the last couple of years that, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that we just Christmas tree pattern all the way back down into the teens. But ultimately is probably where I think Rigetti is headed. Gold stocks, I thought were fairly impressive today. Gold futures, I did wake up and this gold futures was pushing higher, which was very nice to see. And I did buy NEM on Friday. And really it held up so well when gold was pushing higher and then kind of started to round trip some of those gains. By day's end, when gold was just going sideways, NEM was closing very strong, which was a really pleasant surprise. That allowed me to just hang on to it over the weekend with a low of day stop. I wake up this morning, you get a nice gap up, you get nice continuation today. I did take off a fifth of my position into this push effectively, and then I'm hopeful we get another little push, into like low 90s, right? 91 would be sweet. And then that would kind of allow me to trim off another fifth, and then I could just hold it, really using the 50 simple moving average as the guide. But really, really nice move in GLD or gold futures, and it could very well be that these things are in some renewed uptrends. I mean, ultimately, just because they had a pullback doesn't mean that they necessarily lost their established uptrends. Semiconductors, again, continued to be really nice. I thought Tesla did exactly what you'd want to see, right? You pull back into the 50 simple moving average, you rebound sharply. SoFi, a little bit more like Palantir. You pull back into the 50 simple moving average, you rebound sharply. They're basically making it very, very hard to consider even buying or adding more tomorrow, right? That's just a little wide and loose, right? Just in a few days, you get price action that screams, maybe it's some risk off. And then from Friday to today, you're getting price action that screams, we're going a whole hell of a lot higher. I'm kind of right in the middle, which I know is not the sexy position to be in, right? Which is just, I'm hopeful that these things can tighten up, maybe give me an inside day, a little bit of a pullback, a bit of a pause. If they just take off, I think that that's fine. I still think that there are stocks that are plenty buyable. But ultimately, my focus is going to be on stocks, that have reported earnings recently and then are, showing some strength. A name like Datadog, very, very nice. Some of the other cybersecurity stocks, which I think are doing great. CrowdStrike, fantastic. Nice breakout on the 23rd. A little bit of a check back into the 20-day and then continuation once market pressure lets off. in 2 days, it's just right back out to a new high. Kind of how a leader should be acting, and CrowdStrike looks like it is exactly that. PanW is another one that's just hanging in there. Excuse me. And then Zscaler's another one that I think is also acting well. So cybersecurity's definitely got plenty of merchandise that is acting well, and Net is another one that I think is acting fairly well. So buyable tomorrow, I don't know about all that, but a little bit of a check back and then effectively a higher low, we could continue and be off to the races within that sector. And really just a great day overall, right? The market did exactly what it was supposed to after Friday's bounce, and then really nice continuation. Obviously, there's chatter that the government is going to be reopening, and with that, you also see some really nice moves in some of the casino and lodging names, right? Obviously, WYNN, a little bit of a rejection against left side highs, but really nice move. Is it LVS Las Vegas Sands? Really nice recent move. The Hilton HLT for some of the lodging names, really nice base that's been built here. Probably, could see that one higher in time. And then Marriott, same deal, coming out of this longer consolidation, starting to also push higher. So, we've got some, it looks like increasing participation, which was kind of the hope, when I had mentioned that little tweet on Friday, if the market finally bottomed on Friday, then what would that look like? I think increased participation. I also thought that maybe some of the leaders, could just remain as leaders and also continue higher, and you just get a broadening out of the rally. I think that would be healthy. That would start to feel like a really, really powerful market, because you're really not going to knock a market like that down when there is broad participation. That could kind of look a bit like a runaway train. I also did take some PL today, and this one started to push higher. As soon as we started to reclaim the 20 simple moving average, I did get myself involved. With ASTS reporting earnings, didn't do a whole lot, and really kind of closing down just a little bit, but nothing too crazy. And then Rocket Lab on its own earnings, really nice push up right up against the 50-day. We'll see if we can go ahead and reclaim that level as soon as tomorrow. CoreWeave, again, fairly unimpressive on its own earnings report, down to $98. I mean, not necessarily the best. And one of the things too that has been kind of weak in that data center space, or that, that I believe that's exactly what CoreWeave is doing, is this Oracle. And then we'll see what NBIS looks like when they report. If I'm not mistaken, they report tomorrow. And then you had one of these converted into data center plays, TeraWulf, just kind of nothing, just kind of sitting here flat after earnings. So not a ton. My focus is going to be on stocks that have gapped up on earnings, and that is going to continue to be, as a non-sexy of a name as it might be, something like General Motors. Is it something like HCC? Is it something like NET recently? Palantir, Rambus, that's basically going to be my focus. A Datadog, Lemonade is another one that comes to mind. Is AppLovin going to hang in there and kind of take out this pivot? So it tried to today, squatted a little bit, but can get going. I don't know that it does so tomorrow, but it is one that is on my watch. So yeah, still plenty of merchandise out there and a lot of great stocks, but I'm just going to be taking it, as I always do, one day at a time, trying to get myself resituated on the long side. And I do have, some names working for me. NEM from Friday, PL from today. Ultimately, not the worst. I did not like the squat necessarily, and PL towards the close. I did take a little bit of my position off, and I would look to re-add it later tomorrow if it can, stay firm, maybe with ASTS and a Rocket Lab. So it is in the aerospace and defense sector. They do something with satellites. So, I'll be watching effectively all of the satellite names that are kind of on my radar. And if that's acting well and PL is living still above the 20 simple moving average, I will add back to that position. But ultimately, I hope you guys all traded well, and I will see you guys bright and early in the morning. Cheers.